Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today for a continuation of Gamma Iota Sigma's virtual resources. Today's webinar is Optimizing Your Virtual Internship Experience, which is a student-focused content, but open to all for the benefit of the upcoming internship season. I'm Charla Floyd, Senior Vice President of Strategic Initiatives with Gamma Iota Sigma. I'm going to touch on a few logistical items before I turn it over to my colleagues. First, thank you to GIS sustaining partner Assurex Global for availing the technology for today's webinar. This installment is being recorded, and the replay link will be posted to and available for access on GIS's website, across our social media, as well as in student and industry newsletters. We welcome you to share the replay with your peers so that everybody can have the benefit of these critical virtual resources as you prepare for your upcoming internships. All attendees are on mute. However, we do encourage interaction with the presenter, and you can do so to the right side of your screen. You should have a questions box. We encourage you to submit your question at any time, but please be mindful that we will have a section for Q&A at the end of the presentation. But definitely, please do submit your questions or any feedback that you're having. Thank you so much, and with that, I'm pleased to turn it over to GIS CEO Noelle Kodasfati.
Thank you, Charla, and good afternoon, everyone. We're so grateful for you to be joining us live for this event, and for anybody that will be listening to the video or the recording later, we thank you for clicking and listening through to the webinar. As Charla mentioned, this is a continuation of a virtual platform that Gamma has been delivering. We delivered a content piece called Virtual Internship Guide to our companies, sustaining partners, and across the industry at large several weeks ago. We have been overwhelmed by the positive response that companies are having to the Virtual Internship Guide and a platform itself, and seeing many companies transition their internships and continue with their commitment to students across the industry far and wide. Certainly, some of our students and your peers have been affected by the situation that we are experiencing with COVID-19, but we hope that this pivot that you and our companies in the industry are making to ensure that you have an experience, a valuable experience this summer, and continue to engage in the insurance industry does not go unnoticed. As Charla said a few minutes ago, we hope that you will share this with your peers that were unable to join us today, and not just your Gamma Iota Sigma peers. This content is certainly applicable not only within your insurance industry internships, but also across all industries. And with the rest of your colleagues that you may be interning with that don't have the benefit of being engaged with Gamma during this time. Alyssa will share with us at the end of the presentation some ways that you or other members of Gamma or non-Gamma Iota Sigma members can engage with us for the remainder of the year, and we hope that you will take advantage of these benefits. This is an unprecedented time. The virtual internships and a changing workforce dynamic that we're experiencing over the next couple of months will likely have a sustaining impact on the way our industry and others do business for generations to come. And the work, the effort, and the impression that you make on companies this summer will certainly help garner that trust of our generation and the students coming out of school, but also on how our industry specifically can embrace a new way of working, and one that produces a fruitful and positive outcome both professionally and personally. And with that, I will turn it over to Alyssa Bouchard, who will walk us through this valuable guide. Alyssa?
Thanks so much, Noelle, and thanks to all the students joining us today. Just to add on to Noelle's comments, we recognize that students that you may have questions or concerns about today, the workforce in today's quickly evolving environment. I know some of you are still searching for jobs and internships. Those of you who already have positions secured may have questions about what that looks like in our new normal. So whatever boat you're in, just want to let you know that Gamma Iota Sigma, we are here to provide you that additional career support you need during this time. We're really hosting this event today to help you make lemonade out of lemons and participate in a virtual internship experience in a way that leads to your success. And many of you are technologically and digitally savvy. We believe you're in a great position to transition to a virtual work environment. And our hope is that today's program will make you feel even more confident in your ability to do so. So here's what our program will look like today. We'll cover the benefits of virtual internships, virtual communication and feedback, video conference etiquette, how to develop your network in a virtual setting, managing projects and maximizing your efficiency as a virtual intern, and important questions to ask your employer to help set yourself up for success. And we'll then open it up for Q&A at the end. Now, face-to-face engagement and full immersion into a corporate environment is certainly the ideal situation as you're starting your careers. We recognize current circumstances might not allow you to do that, but you can still have a successful start to your career and recognize benefits from a virtual internship. Virtual internship will allow you to continue to pursue your career despite current events. Many of you on the call today are pursuing a career in insurance. If you haven't considered a career in insurance before, we hope you'll do that, but no matter your intended career path, a virtual internship will allow you to start that career on the right note. Virtual internship will allow you to develop skills and experience that are so valuable. And a virtual internship can help expand your knowledge of business technologies. It can help you hone your digital communication skills. It can help you learn how to interact and engage in a corporate environment, even virtually. And it can help you learn more about the area of work that you're pursuing or interested in. It can also help you experience a company's culture. So these skills will prepare you to jump right in when you enter the workforce full time and can help ease your college to career transition. Virtual internships also give you access to an expanded pool of potential employers. Companies and opportunities that may have seemed outside of your reach for various reasons could be more accessible to you now with the uptick in virtual recruiting and virtual student engagement. Virtual internships also eliminate geographic restrictions in the candidate selection process. So if you're still looking for an internship or job, there may be opportunities to apply to work for a top choice company in a different geographic region. Our partners are still posting job and internship opportunities on the Gamma Iota Sigma Career Center, and we'll share that resource at the end of the presentation, but definitely take advantage of those opportunities. Virtual internships also allow for increased flexibility in internship schedules. It could be a full-time internship, part-time, during the summer, during the school year, or year-round. And in fact, I do want to give a shout-out to some of the students. We had some Gamma Iota Sigma leaders, student leaders, help to put this resource together, and some of the students who helped put the resource together for you actually completed live internships and then transitioned to virtual internship formats to continue their work part-time during the school year. And that virtual internship gives them continued year-round engagement with their internship employer. That is a huge benefit. Virtual internships can also give you some time back in your day because you're not having to commute to work every day. And you're saving money because you're not having to pay for gas or train fare to commute every day. Virtual internships reduce or eliminate internship housing and relocation expenses because you can do your job from anywhere. So these are just a few of the benefits of virtual internships. Now, with many of us working from home or taking classes from home right now, maybe you can relate that the virtual work can at times feel a little bit isolating. So it's important for you to really connect in your internship, and communication and feedback is key to that. Ongoing, proactive communication between you and your internship supervisor and your team is really important. And as you start your internship, your supervisor may schedule regular check-ins with you. Some managers will plan a quick 15-minute catch-up every day. Others will schedule a more formal 1-hour meeting maybe once per week. And especially as a virtual intern, that is a valuable time for you. So be prepared to go into those meetings with your supervisor with a list of things you want to touch base on or need from them in order to do your job. And if your manager doesn't schedule these check-ins with you, it's okay to ask about that your first day or your first week on the job and see if that's an option to help facilitate that communication. Try to learn and understand your supervisor's management style and preferred channels of communication. This is part of what we call managing up. And if you've never heard that term before, managing up is essentially building relationships with your superiors and tailoring your own work and communication styles to your supervisor's communication work styles in order to facilitate success for both of you. Managing up can really help you be successful as a virtual intern. Unfortunately, as virtual interns, you won't have the benefit of popping into an office to ask a quick question. So clarify early on the best way for you to communicate with your supervisor, your mentor, or other point persons for things that come up. Know whether they prefer an email, a phone call, an instant message. And keep in mind, communication methods may vary depending on the topic or the issue. So a more complicated question or matter may be better discussed in a video call than an email. So just something else to keep in mind. Be aware of time zone differences. And I'm going to tell on myself a little bit with this one. I live and work on the eastern side of the United States. And one time I made a work call to someone in California. It was 9 o'clock a.m. my time. And honestly, I didn't really think about the fact that it was 6 o'clock a.m. her time. And the work number that was listed in her email signature was actually her cell phone number, which I didn't realize. And as you can imagine, it was probably not fun for her to get a work call on her cell phone at 6 o'clock in the morning. So just be mindful of time zones in which your colleagues and business contacts are working. Also check your email and other communication platforms often. When you're working from home and not in an office, it's easy to get caught up in a project, kind of get in the zone and be a little oblivious to what is happening around you. So just make sure your email, your instant message notifications are on and you're responding to messages in a timely manner, because that's really the primary method of communication. Keep an open feedback dialogue. Some companies have a formal performance evaluation process for interns. So for example, they might have a meeting at the midpoint or the conclusion of the internship to share feedback with you. Not all companies do this, and often 1 or 2 performance check-ins really is not enough. So as you complete projects and tasks, ask your supervisor for feedback and incorporate that into your future performance. And don't be afraid to ask questions. We are going to take a deeper dive into this on the next slide. So you're new to the professional work world, and people understand that and want to help you succeed. So don't be afraid to ask questions. But before you do, try to find the answer. Again, as a virtual intern, you don't have the option to just pop over to someone's workspace and ask a quick question. And professionals get a lot of emails. They get a lot of phone calls. So I recommend always checking the resources you have first, whether that's the company intranet, information that was provided to you prior to your internship, your emails. You really don't want to ask a question that's already been answered for you. So do your homework before you ask those questions. And keep a log of non-urgent questions to ask your supervisor on your next call. Your supervisor, as I mentioned, they probably get a lot of emails, a lot of phone calls, but try to avoid pinging them constantly with questions. If it's not urgent, just add it to your list for your next check-in. That's another way you can be prepared for those check-ins with your supervisor. And when you learn the answer to a question, write it down for next time and learn from it so that you don't have to ask it twice. Now, I know that you're all getting video conferencing experience right now, since most schools have transitioned to an online format, but we have some tips we want to share with you for practicing video conference etiquette. During your, as with any meeting, you should prepare for video calls in advance. So during your first day or first week on the job, ask your supervisor about the norms for team calls. What does your team normally wear when they take video calls from home? What should you do to prepare for the team calls? Does every team member typically provide an update on their work for the week? What does that team call look like? And know what to expect so you can be ready to make a good impression from the start. It's also a good idea to test the video conferencing platform before your first meeting, especially if it's a software that you have not used before. And know your audience for each call. Are you meeting with just your team? Is it a client meeting? Will there be company executives on the call? You know, everyone's a little more casual right now in the work from home environment. A lot of us have traded in dress pants for sweatpants, but in a live work environment, even if you're in a company that has a casual office environment, you might dress a little bit nicer if you have a client coming into the office or if you're meeting with a senior leader. And this is something that we call dress for your day. So keep that in mind for virtual meetings too. Use your discretion. If you have a video call with another intern, a t-shirt or a hoodie is probably fine. But if you're meeting with an executive, you may want to wear a little bit of a nicer shirt. Again, understanding the norms for video calls will help you know what is expected. And I do at minimum recommend changing out of your PJ pants. You never know when you may have to stand up to get something or do something during the course of a video call. I just always recommend you make sure you're appropriate from head to toe. And anticipate potential distractions or interruptions before your calls. We're all experiencing this right now. My dog, her name is Pepper, she finds something to bark at every time I get on a call. Maybe your roommate walks by and doesn't realize they're in your screen. Maybe there's lawn mowing happening outside of your window. These things can make for good laughs, but they can also be distracting and make the video meeting a little bit less efficient. There's no way to eliminate these completely, but do try to anticipate distractions and limit them when possible before video calls. And during video calls, I recommend just planning to dial in a few minutes early for each call. Virtual employees actually have fewer excuses for being late to meetings because you can't say, oh, I was running from one meeting to the next between buildings or floors like you might in an in-person work environment. I know certainly technology issues come up, but dialing in 3 to 5 minutes early is a good idea and will help you address any issues before the meeting begins. Also be sure to mute your microphone when you aren't speaking to limit background noise. And be aware of your background and personal items visible in your screen. A lot of video conferencing systems will let you preview your screen before joining a call. Just double check to make sure you don't have things lying around that you wouldn't want coworkers to see. Some video conferencing platforms will allow you to put up a fake virtual background that looks like an office. Some will offer the option to blur your background. So just, again, make sure that whatever's in your background is something you don't mind colleagues seeing. And developing a network is a huge benefit of any internship, and it's one that can help set you up for long-term career success. So it's important that you as interns build a network in your virtual environment. And getting exposure to different business areas and employees during your internship can actually help you determine what career path or function of the business you ultimately want to pursue. It can help paint a picture for you of where you may best fit in that organization after graduation. And maybe your internship team specifically, or the area you're working in for the summer, maybe they're not the best fit for you long term. Exposure to different areas and opportunities can help you find the right fit. So when you're developing your network, be proactive, connect, and follow up. And be proactive to develop your network. It's a great idea to ask your supervisor or mentor to recommend people they think are valuable to meet within your business unit. Alumni can be amazing resources for you. I know our Gamma Iota Sigma alumni are often so willing to engage with students and help you professionally. So try to identify alumni from your school or Gamma Iota Sigma alumni who are currently working at your company that may be able to provide additional mentorship or guidance for you as you begin your career. And once you've identified these potential contacts, ask them about virtual job shadowing opportunities or schedule virtual coffees or lunches with them, just like you might in an in-person work environment. And then connect, get involved. Some companies have employee resource groups that you can join. A lot of companies will offer virtual learning or networking opportunities that could help expand your network. So do some research and see where you can get plugged in. And I recommend that you don't just treat your internship like an internship. I encourage you to really dive into the culture and the opportunities and treat it like you're a long-term employee. That will help you determine whether your internship employer could be a fit for you for a full-time job, because ideally an internship should be a two-way interview for full-time employment. When possible, use video chat to conduct one-on-one meetings and connect with new colleagues. It can definitely be more engaging than a phone call, and it can help you build better rapport, especially if you're meeting with someone new. And then get to know your team, get to know other interns, schedule those virtual coffees and lunches with them too. We are going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into building relationships with other interns on the next slide. And then once you've made these great connections, follow up. If leaders take the time to meet with you, particularly in a one-on-one setting or for intern-specific events, consider sending a handwritten thank you note. I know it may seem antiquated, but leaders get a lot of emails, and handwritten thank you notes can be a great way to set yourself apart and help them to remember you. And after meeting someone new, follow up with an email during or after your internship to maintain that connection, especially if it's someone you think could really help impact your career or someone you connected really well with. Consider following up on a more regular basis. Always keep in mind that professionals are busy. I don't recommend sending an email every week just to send an email every week, but it is okay to check in every now and then if you have something meaningful to say or to share with them to help keep that connection going. I want to dive a little bit deeper into building relationships with fellow interns. And the best advice I ever received as a student was to invest in relationships with your peers. An executive at one of the companies I interned with as a student gave me this advice. He started his career with a large insurance broker in their graduate training program, and he invested in relationships with his cohort and built strong peer relationships with his fellow trainees. And now, 35 years later, he's the president of his company, and his former fellow trainees are now presidents, CEOs, insurance industry leaders, and he has a really powerful network. So right now, your fellow interns are career starters like you, but one day, those peers will be your clients, they'll be your colleagues and fellow business leaders. So it's never too early to start building your network now and invest in relationships with your peers. And you can develop that network by working together with other interns, sharing experiences, and getting social. So let's talk about working together with other interns. Seek opportunities to do group work with your fellow interns. Some organizations that have more than one intern may give you the opportunity or may require you to work on an internship project in teams or in pairs. So that's a great opportunity. If you are the only intern in your company, there may be an opportunity for you to partner with an intern from another company and do a similar project. So for example, maybe your supervisor has a client who also has an intern. You and that intern could pair up to complete a project that would help bolster that client relationship. And it's okay to ask about these opportunities if they're not made available to you up front. Take the initiative and see if it's an option for you to work with other interns. Share experiences. If you have a challenging or rewarding experience during your internship, share that with other interns. Just another example for you, when I was in college, I interned with an insurance company, and I had a friend from school who was at the same time interning with an insurance broker. And if I heard a term or a concept during the workday that I didn't understand, I would call her later that evening and say, hey, have you heard this word before? You know, do you know what this means in the work environment? And we were able to bounce things off of each other and share what we were learning or struggling with. So if you have questions or if you've learned something new, other interns in your organization may have similar questions or may benefit from your shared insights. And then get social. Some companies, particularly larger ones with many interns, will offer formal internship programming. So they might offer virtual networking and educational opportunities for interns. If this is the case at your company, that is a great opportunity for you, and I would encourage you to participate in everything, to say yes to every opportunity to build your network. Also consider setting up intern group chats or texts outside of work, just like you might do during an in-person internship. And then coordinate a virtual happy hour or another networking event with other interns. As you're going through your virtual internship experience, just remember that there are plenty of other interns going through a similar situation right now. So connect with other interns, support one another, and really make the most of it. A virtual internship will require you to be self-disciplined, self-motivated, and organized in your work. So it's important to manage your workspace, manage your time, and communicate your progress. Managing your workspace, try to simulate an office environment. As someone who has worked from home for about a year and a half now, I can tell you that the idea of working from your couch or your bed might seem nice at first, but it will get very old very quickly, and it can affect your mindset and your productivity. So try to create a clean and functional workspace with a table and a comfortable chair if possible, and put your phone aside. If you were in an office environment, you would not be responding to every text as it comes in, because you wouldn't want your manager to see you on your phone all day. So in terms of your phone, act like you're in an office and put it aside. Also close any distracting tabs on your computer so you can really focus on your work. And in an office, or in an in-person work environment, you would be getting up to refresh your coffee, walking to meetings, or going out to lunch on your lunch break. So try to get up and get moving in your virtual work environment. It's a good idea to take short breaks throughout the day, get up and stretch, take your dog for a walk. Sometimes you just need to step away from your computer for a couple of minutes and mentally reset. And manage your time. I mentioned earlier that flexibility is a great benefit of a virtual internship, but even if your internship schedule is flexible, create a schedule for yourself and make it a routine. Try to start work and take lunch around the same time every day, just like you would in an in-person work situation. Also be aware of deadlines, priorities, and next steps when it comes to your tasks and projects. And if you don't know what they are, ask. Remember, communication is so key to success in a virtual work environment. Make a timeline for yourself between check-ins with your supervisor to ensure you're staying on track with your assignments. I find it's helpful to have a physical planner to write down assignments and deadlines. Something else I do is I plan out my week by putting project time in my work calendar, in my Outlook calendar. So for example, I might create a calendar appointment just for myself that from 8 to 12 on Monday, I'm going to work on this project. And from 12 to 5, I'll work on another project. And putting that in the calendar really helps keep me on track and hold myself accountable. And then communicate your progress. It definitely can be more difficult for a supervisor to monitor your workload and progress if they're managing you virtually. So again, manage up, help them manage you. Frequently save and document the work you're doing because that can be harder to translate virtually. And keep your supervisor apprised of your workload and progress. Don't wait for them to ask you for an update. Be ready to provide that. And communicate with them if you don't have enough work to do. And an internship is for your benefit. It certainly doesn't benefit you if you're bored and twiddling your thumbs. So if your workload is light, ask for more. And on the flip side, if you feel you have too much work to complete within a given time frame, communicate that respectfully. In certain circumstances, it can be appropriate to request an extension on a deliverable or project. The key here really is just to communicate. Now, some companies are great about providing their interns with all the information they'll need to know before their start date. So you may not have any additional questions to ask, but other companies might not be quite as communicative, or you may still have some follow-up questions. Here are some questions to ask to help set yourself up for success. First is, what technology will I need to work remotely? Will I need a webcam or a headset or a printer? Let them know if you don't have that equipment so they can make arrangements. Who should I contact for tech issues? In a virtual work environment, it's always a good idea to have the IT contact information on hand. What are my work hours? When should I plan to be online? When should I take lunch? And know your employer's expectations. What are expectations for response outside of work hours? Virtual work can sometimes mean blurred lines between work and life. It can be sometimes difficult to separate those. Be aware that sometimes companies have restrictions on the number of hours hourly employees or interns are allowed to work. So as an intern, you might actually not be allowed to log on after hours to respond to an email. So just ask that question up front so you're prepared. And then ask your supervisor, what are your tips for working from home? And this can help you gain some good insight into how to successfully work remotely, but it can also help you learn about your manager's work style to help you better manage up and communicate with them. What forms of communication are preferred? We touched on that a little bit earlier. Is there a dress code for video calls? And finally, how can I be considered for full-time opportunities? As I mentioned, an internship really should be a two-way job interview. So at the end of your internship, make sure you know what you need to do to apply for full-time employment if you're interested in starting your full-time career with that company. Now, before we go to Q&A, I want to share some closing thoughts and opportunities for you. If you are in need of additional career support during these times, we encourage you to take full advantage of your benefits as a Gamma Iota Sigma member. There is so much available to you: professional development, career resources, plentiful opportunities to engage with Gamma Iota Sigma's employer partners. If you're not a Gamma Iota Sigma member and you're joining us today, on the screen you can see here a few examples of the amazing benefits we provide to our student members. Gamma Iota Sigma membership is open to any student of any school, any major, any class year. We would love to have you join so we can share these benefits with you as well. I also want to mention the Gamma Iota Sigma Professional Development Series is an exclusive resource for GIS members, and it offers tools for personal branding, navigating the job marketplace, business professionalism. In today's virtual work and recruiting environment, it's even more important for you to develop your skill set, build your resume, and showcase your abilities to prospective employers. So this course will equip you to do that. Just be sure to check our website or your student newsletter for more information. If you're still looking for a job or internship, check out the Gamma Iota Sigma Career Center. We offer all students access to the Career Center. You don't have to be a GIS member to create an account, and our employer partners post jobs and internships regularly. So encourage you to use this tool and take advantage of that benefit. A huge benefit of joining Gamma Iota Sigma is the opportunity to develop a network. And we have well over 25,000 alumni working in all areas of the insurance industry. The GIS Alumni Council has 23 regional chapters in cities across the U.S., from Atlanta to Philadelphia to Chicago to Los Angeles, Dallas, and more. And they host happy hours and community service events and sporting tournaments. So students are always invited to Alumni Council events, and it's a great way to get connected with alumni if you're still a student, and then great way for you to stay involved with Gamma Iota Sigma after you graduate. Also, just want to mention, if you're a senior set to graduate this May, we want you to know we are celebrating with you. Gamma Iota Sigma is hosting a virtual graduation ceremony on May 8th at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. You can check out our website and student newsletter for more information. And if you're not a member of Gamma Iota Sigma, you want to learn more or join, there are several membership opportunities, as I mentioned. So check out the membership page of our website to get connected. And now we'd like to open it up for Q&A. If anyone has any questions, we're happy to address those. You can ask questions through the little box, your GoToWebinar box, and there should be an option for you to type in your question. Noelle and Charlotte, I just want to check and see if we have any questions that have come through so far.
As of right now, there are no questions.
All right. So if you have any questions, feel free to enter that in. If you don't have any questions, remember that we are here for you, to support you, and to provide resources for you as you embark upon your career in the insurance industry. As Charlotte and Noelle both mentioned earlier, this is a great resource for you, but it's not just limited to Gamma Iota Sigma members. This is an opportunity, a resource that can benefit your friends, your classmates. So please feel free to share this webinar, this resource with your friends as they're starting their virtual internships as well. And with that, I will turn it back over to Charla.
Thank you so much, Alyssa, and thank you everyone for joining us today for this really critical and timely information. And like Alyssa said, these are resources for you to share and use. And so as we get closer to the upcoming internship season, questions may arise. Certainly feel free to reconnect and pose those questions when you do have them. But again, a huge thank you to all of you participating for utilizing these resources to help make the most of a very uncertain time. I'm grateful to the industry for the continuity provided through these continued internship and employment opportunities and pivoting and being as nimble as they are. Thank you again to GIS sustaining partner Assurex Global for availing today's technology. And like we said, the recording will be made available across all GIS platforms, the website, social media, newsletters. So look for it there. We're happy to make these resources available to you as we continue forward. Thanks everyone for joining us today.